All right, we're live. So I'm with Tammy Hanna with Origami Rehab, and we had just talked before we got on. I think it'd be cool for you to share a little bit about your story and kind of what led you to this role and why you're so passionate about it.
Sure. Well, my background is occupational therapy, and I was introduced to the world of therapy very early on. It's really something I've known all of my life, literally. My older brother, Jeff, who's 3 years older than I am, has cerebral palsy. And so I grew up watching him in his many therapies. He had physical and occupational and speech therapies. And sometimes those therapists would come right into our home and help Jeff learn how to care for himself. And as his little sister, I engaged in his therapies, and I always found occupational therapy to be the more fun therapy that he would receive. And it was always fascinating to see how they taught him how to tie his shoes and how to put his own pants on or brush his teeth. And I grew up wanting to help people, and I was innately helping my brother throughout my childhood all the way through to today. And so I went to the field of occupational therapy and passionate about helping others. And I happen to have, through a lottery system, a number drawn out of a hat that landed me at Origami Rehab as my final clinical rotation prior to graduating. And so I didn't know what to expect. At that time, our name was Origami Brain Injury Rehab Center, which was really intimidating to me despite being around therapy all my life. Landed at Origami and absolutely fell in love with the place. It was fascinating work. I was seeing miracles happen in a very short period of time of working there. And I was lucky to be asked to stay on as their first full time therapist in Origami's history. They were 3 years old at the time. And so I accepted, and here I am today. Going to be celebrating 25 years in July of being at Origami and just growing personally and professionally there along with the mission.
Yeah. So obviously, origami has grown a lot in, I don't know, what do you say, the last few years? How long ago was it when you expanded to the west side of Lansing? Was it a few years back? Maybe five now?
Yeah, it's close to. So June of 2021, we opened our first satellite outpatient clinic, and that was our first time ever expanding outside of Mason's 35-acre property of main campus. And it was really born out of the idea of we had to pivot and sustain. We were really working to get through not just the pandemic, but also a lot of funding barriers. And so we needed to get creative. And so the team rallied, and we were socially distanced in COVID in my driveway for a strategic planning meeting. And we said, hey, what do you think? There's all these clients that need care. We ran out of space in our current operations at main campus. If we expand into west side of Lansing, we could open the door more to access to care geographically. And so, yes, Origami West opened June of 2021. And it was a huge success. And within 6 months, we were beating 12-month goals.
Sweet. And then you guys got really busy within the last 6 months ish. I mean, um, you launched Green Lawn, and that was what, couple months ago when you guys opened, a month ago? I mean, real recent.
Yes, time's flying. So Origami Green Lawn opened January 27th of this
Okay.
year. And so it hasn't been very long at all. And that was a combination of a few things. One, our Origami West location was really thriving in serving not just adults, but serving more of a pediatric population. And that need was growing over the years. And we knew we needed another space to be able to continue to serve people, adults and children, but to have a larger space for children. And then also, my good friend Julie Thomasma from Child and Family Charities, a local nonprofit, told me about this great nonprofit hub that she was creating in the McLaren Legacy campus, right on the south side of Lansing. She toured it with me and talked about her vision, and I was completely in awe. I love the nonprofit collaboration aspect of the location. I love the fact that we'd be part of the South Lansing initiatives and efforts of expanding resources in that area. And my team loved the idea of being able to expand our services into that area. And so, yeah, just not too long ago, we opened there, and we're thriving. And we've already served 40 children and many adults at that single location since January 27th of this year.
And while you're doing that, I'm watching because we obviously work with you, and I think we were chatting about filming at Green Lawn, and then I like am diving in and I see they're opening a place in Grand Blanc now as well. So, what you guys call Origami East. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? So you guys really are rolling out two new campuses almost at the same time.
Yes, so we have definitely been very busy, but we've been on an adrenaline rush, and it's been a lot of fun. Actually, a lot of work, certainly, but a lot of fun. First and foremost, it hasn't been easy, but it's one of those things where when you see a need, it's really important for us. I mean, we take it as a responsibility at Origami to access to maximize access to care. And I think that that's something we can pride ourselves on with many examples. The other thing is, over the years, we've done a lot of things that have been very strategic, but we've done a lot of things that have been very organic. So I would say, despite having two projects roll out, two new locations roll out at the same time, one was very strategic. That was our Origami Green Lawn. It was part of our strategic plan. We had everything aligned and ready for that, while the other, Origami East, was completely organic, and it was all about relationships and the importance of relationships. And so over the last few years, I've had a relationship with the prior owners of where we are now, Origami East. It used to be Star Rehab, and we created a relationship. And when those entrepreneurs were ready to sell, they reached out to me and only me, saying, we admire Origami, we love your culture, this, the Star team and the Star clients and families members are like family to us. And when we sell, we don't want to just sell to anybody. We want it to be Origami. And so I thought at that time, Evan, there's no way the board of directors is going to support this. Money's tight. Like, this is completely unplanned. We are already rolling out plans to open in January for Green Lawn. How in the world are we going to pull this off and opening Origami East in January as well? And so, with a committed board who trusts a lot of the decisions being made by the leadership team of Origami, we pulled together a business plan. We negotiated terms that could work for us. And so we acquired, which is a word I never thought Origami would be using, acquired an organization that came with phenomenal therapists, a phenomenal track record, amazing client stories that feel like they've always been a part of Origami. And all of them, the staff are still there. We were able to retain 100% of those talented staff. And the Grand Blanc community has welcomed us, and we love that community. It's an amazing, rich community of full of resources as well. So we've been busy. That was a January 1st. New Year's Day was our official first day with all of those employees on our payroll.
That's pretty cool though that you were able to keep everybody. I mean, that made not only is it great to keep those people employed there, but just transition wise. I
Mhm.
mean, you go in and buy a place and you got to bring all new staff in there. I mean that's a massive undertaking.
It is, and it's really important. And we know that some of those clients have been treated for a while with those clinicians that they've long trusted and had great rapport with. And it's hard to replace that. And so while the clinic is amazing, and I can't wait for you to see it, it's the people that really make the therapy services and the outcomes what it is. And so it's really an honor to have been able to embrace them, and they've embraced us. And it wasn't easy. It was a couple months of lots of nerve wracking of like they didn't know who we were to the degree of what was going to happen when we became employed with Origami. But we were able to get creative and have a ton of visibility over there from a variety of different staff sharing a variety of different stories and experiences about origami, and I think that had a lot to do with us being able to retain all of those staff.
What do the services look like out at East? Is it very similar across all the satellite campuses and then the main campus? Is there anything that you do different there, or
Yeah. So it's a little unique. It was primarily a physical therapy clinic. And the owners who had it for about 2.5, 3 years, Star's been around, it was I think about 20 years, a little over 20 years. But the owners that we purchased it from really recognized that interdisciplinary teamwork was necessary. And that means having an occupational therapist, having a speech language pathologist. And so they had recently, fairly recently, hired on an occupational therapist, an occupational therapy assistant, and a speech language pathologist to add to their physical therapist. Now, the Grand Blanc area and the referral sources are still primarily are seeing physical therapy as the service that's offered there. So our communications team has really been hitting the ground running and spreading the word of a great interdisciplinary team, a one-stop shop, just like our other Origami Lansing-based locations, where if somebody needs more than just physical or just occupational therapy or just speech, they can come to us. We're also working to build mental health services there as well because we recognize the work that we do. We definitely need mental health counselors a part of that journey, the recovery journey for our clients. So when they're not doing a lot of pediatrics yet, and of course we are eager to start that. We're working on a light refresh, but definitely creating a pediatric space right within that clinic. And it's coming along, and we are serving a few little ones already, and we have a few therapists there that are undergoing training, specializations, in learning all the tricks and trade of the secret of being able to engage kids in the work of therapy to be able to meet their goals.
so it's April and we've still got quite a few months left in this year. You guys gonna open another location
Oh
or
goodness,
no
no.
plans right now?
We're going to take a good breather. I think it's really important. Something that's made origami really special is we're still small. I still see us as a small entity, even though we have 4 locations. We do have 150 employees. I still feel like we operate in a way that's like it's a sophisticated ma and pa shop in that we're very personable. I'm very familiar with all of our employees. I'm still in touch with clients, and that goes to show all of our leadership team. And we can move fairly quickly when it's something really cool, or we can slow things down at a pace where we know it's the best thing for our care. And right now, we're going to slow things down a little bit to make sure that we're getting all of our 4 locations aligned and consistent, and best practices are everywhere. Our culture is infused and fostered at all 4 of those locations. Just making sure the foundation is very strong since we've had so much change. But the future holds a lot more for origami. We like continuous evolution and expansion to meet the needs of people who need us. And so who knows where we'll be next. But I don't think it'll be this year, not strategically anyway, Evan.
Well, cool. Anything that we didn't cover that you wanna throw in before we jump off?
We just celebrated our 28-year anniversary earlier this month, and it's pretty fascinating to reflect. I always think that it's an important time to reflect on our roots. And our roots were really born out of a physician at Michigan State who recognized that the Lansing area needed a place like Origami who could provide residential and outpatient programming for clients in need. And he was in the hospitals working with patients getting discharged to rehab centers outside of the Lansing area. And so that MSU physician got to work and he built a joint venture with Peckham. And so those two parents really came together. That joint venture stands true today. They're still very involved with our mission, very supportive. And they are an amazing entity that really differentiates origami and our resources, access to resources, as we continue to break down barriers for people needing care. And so, yeah, 28 years of goodness, and I'm excited for what's ahead for origami.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for jumping on with us, Tammy.
Well, I appreciate your interest, and you guys are amazing at what you're doing too. I love getting the publication every month. And so keep up what you're doing too. It makes a difference in our community and beyond.
Well, thanks so much. We're trying our best. Sometimes we get a little overwhelmed, but
Understandable.
all right, cool. Well, thanks for jumping on. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Take care. Bye bye.